All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. All right, before I get going here, this is High South. Uh Holy crap, Batman. If you like the Eagles, the Doobie Brothers, America, there's just so much great music here and the response I often get from people is, "How didn't I know about this?" Um, well, for the last 20, 30 years, there's been no music industry here in the United States promoting great music. That's the bottom line. And it's in every genre for the most part. There's great R&B out there you've never heard. There's really great country music out there that you won't hear. And this is like classic rock 70s that you've never heard. And it's phenomenal. I would recommend just going and Googling High South and kick back, grab an adult beverage if you do that stuff, and enjoy. High South, one of the great albums of 2023. Definitely a band you should check out if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to check out my friends over at modernretrofm.com. Modern Retro Radio, they have a whole new playlist over there. They've spruced the place up a little bit musically, and they've taken some of my recommendations, which I'm flattered. Doing programming again in my old age. It's great, radio programming. But you'll hear stuff over there that you won't hear on terrestrial radio. So, again, making my point about the music industry. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about Eric Clapton and Stephen Stills and how they showed up at the RFK Jr. event together. But in a statement, this is hilarious. The Daily Beast reports that Stills was still behind Biden to be president, even though he showed up at this event and had his picture taken with RFK Jr., his wife, Cheryl Hines, Eric Clapton, and Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah. See, here's the deal. All of these guys who went through the 60s and sang against the establishment, protested the Vietnam War, seem to have their act together in some regards, are now all in with the establishment people. Biden, you're supporting Biden, the guy who can't negotiate a deal with Russia and Ukraine. And nobody's doing diplomacy in his administration. We're just going to send more weapons. Okay, so Stephen Stills supports Lockheed Martin for president. That's what he supports. Wow. Northrop Grumman for president. Stephen Stills. Now, Stephen Stills says, hey, I was there as a guest of Eric Clapton. And that's true. So maybe you don't have your picture taken with RFK Jr. Doesn't that send the wrong message to people who think that you support Biden, but how dare you have your picture taken with RFK Jr.? I mean, we live in a tribal political jungle right now. And it's like if you have your picture taken with the opposition, I mean, doesn't that send a message? You would think. It just, the thing that's flabbergasting to me is the peace and love generation, how they've just acquiesced to the war machine. That's the bottom line. They just, it's the war machine. And not only that, the other issue, obviously, Stephen Stills is okay with Big Pharma. He's got to be. He's got to be down with Big Pharma. And RFK Jr. is not. And thus he's labeled a conspiracy theorist. And by the way, I wish we could take some of the language back. A conspiracy theorist isn't always wrong. But I think what's happened is some of the conspiracy theorists have gone a little overboard. And not everything is a conspiracy theory. I think we need a little balance, a little moderation, step back and look at the facts, whether it's the flat earthers and the moon landing crowd or whatever conspiracy theory is out there. And people say, but Dave, you're not on board with me with this. What's the matter with you? And then I'm just like, you know what? I just want a better world, a better country. Now, do I believe there are a lot of bad things happening out there behind the scenes? Yeah, I sure do. But we're so distracted. We are so invested in these theories that we don't do anything to change anything. We just don't, because we're the change we've been waiting for. I hate to sound like a cliche, but that's the cliche. So Eric Clapton invited Stephen Stills. Stephen Stills went as a guest of Eric Clapton to this event, but yet Eric Clapton supports RFK Jr., the crazy man, right? The crazy man who wants peace around the world and wants moderation in some areas, would like to bring the country together, okay? And Stephen Stills supports Joe Biden. I mean, one thing about Stephen Stills and Joe Biden, I think they're about the same age, right? They're about the same age. So you always want to support the oldest presidential candidate. If you can find a guy who's older than Biden, maybe Bernie will run again, right? You want to support Bernie, who used to be a little anti-establishment, but he just folded right in with the rest of them. It's all very pathetic. Tulsi Gabbard, I really love Tulsi. I wish she'd run, but it's too late. I mean, unless they can get on the ballot as an independent, like if RFK Jr. could do that, I still think there's not enough time. And you need a lot of money to hire lawyers in every single state to help you get on the ballot. The fact that they make ballot access so hard means they're beholden to the two-party duopoly. And it's hard to break through that. RFK Jr., though, I think he's a good guy. I would talk to him. I would have him on my show. I would definitely talk to RFK Jr. Same thing with Tulsi Gabbard. Been a huge Tulsi fan. There are a couple of issues I have with Tulsi, but they're really small compared to some of the other things I have with most politicians today. But any event, I find the irony and just the fact that the 60s, I guess, all of that love and peace and spirit, the good stuff, not the drugs, not all the, promiscuity, all that stuff, which, love the one you're with. I know that's didn't work out so well, did it? But as far as, hey, you guys are starting wars all over the place, we're against that. We're against sending troops into Vietnam. We didn't understand that. How should we understand sending money and weapons, endless amounts of money to Ukraine? And people say, well, it's in our national security interests and we need to flex our muscles so we're the superpower around the world. And I just zone out. I'm like, 1987 called and they want their foreign policy back. It's time to move on, people. It's time to take care of local communities that have been devastated by whatever it is, whether it's an infrastructure problem, whether it's a natural disaster, whether it's a giant fire in Maui, for instance. We need to be taking care of those things first. And we don't anymore. And we can't just print our way out of this problem, printing money and borrowing money from China. That's a good idea. Money that we're never going to pay back. So in any event, Eric Clapton and Stephen Stills not on the same page when it comes to presidential candidates, and makes me respect Eric even more that he was gracious enough to bring Stephen in, even though Stephen doesn't support RFK Jr. And it just, I don't know. All of this makes me just wonder about what happened to most of the people from the 60s and how they don't see what's happened since then. And things haven't gotten better. They've gotten worse because the same man that they used to sing about in the 60s has taken control and gotten more control. And now the man is them, the people from the 60s. Just incredible. So anyway, folks, that's the video on this topic. Great to be doing videos today. Hopefully I'm going to put out some more content shortly. Here is High South. You got to go listen to this. feel this good and go listen to all their music while you're at it. Don't forget about Modern Retro Radio. Also, if you can support this channel via Patreon, I'm getting these messages from people like, I'm not giving you $1. I'm like, you don't have to. Maybe somebody else will. All right. So $1 a month keeps the channel going. Revenue has been collapsing since at the very beginning of the year. This is what I do. All right. I make videos. I know it's lame compared to what other people do, but this is what I do. And if you want to support the channel, you like the content here. It's not just me doing this, by the way. It's so funny that I say give $1 a month to Patreon, $2, whatever you want to do. You don't have to do it. You can also sign up for YouTube memberships, or you can be a diligent video watcher, set the notifications properly and watch the videos. Unfortunately, the channel is being suppressed, shadow banned, whatever you call it, and it's a little depressing at times. And so I'd like to be totally independent, meaning I don't have to worry about whether this platform is going to pay out the way they did a year ago. And that's the truth. I'm just being honest. Last year was almost double what I was, getting, say, last month. Now, Eric Clapton was on, and that helped things. And hopefully we're going to have him on again at some point. And I'm hoping for some other folks to show up here, but we don't know. Because much like Modern Retro Radio, I guess you have to have some courage to come on here, because I have certain viewpoints. This is what I've found out, which is discouraging, because I like to talk about music too. I would enjoy just having a great conversation about guitars and songwriting, whatever it is. But it's bizarre that we can't have other important, meaningful discussion within the context of all of the music chat. Because at the end of the day, music is a great healer, a great uniter. It's a way to escape from things. But you know what, folks? There are important things going on in the world too. I think we can do both. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. Anyway, folks, this is a different kind of platform. It's not me just babbling about some song that came out in 1983 that we've known about, since 1983 for 40 years. But now we're gonna bring the controversy to light. It's like, okay, have me on as a guest, and I'll explain the controversy of the song. Since I was there in 1983, it was a pinnacle year for me as a music listener. I could add context, add meaning to your discussion, and debunk all of the misinformation. I hate to use that word, but there you go. All right, I'm babbling like a babbling brook, so I am babbling out of here. Thanks for watching. God bless you all, and stay healthy, stay safe out there, and don't go to CVS if you don't have to.